Hey everybody, it's Dan with Pain For You. Standing under the trees here because it's starting to drizzle, but I wanted to shoot the video quick and I didn't want to do it inside. Today's topic is the fear needs to go first. And I'll explain that in a minute. But as we normally do, let's take a couple of breaths, nice relaxing breaths. Get ourselves into a nice calm state of mind, state of being. Breathe in the confidence. Breathe out the fear. Breathe in the happiness. Breathe out the anger, sadness, and guilt and shame. Alright guys, so what I wanted to talk about in this video is how fear needs to go first. Right? You've heard me talk a lot about an attitude of indifference, and everybody's like, but how do I do that? The pain is so bad. And it becomes very clear in talking to these folks, I do a good amount of coaching, that they're still petrified of the symptoms and the pains. And what I'm observing is that the pain doesn't go away first and then the fear. It's the opposite. Because when you can lower your fear levels, you can really get to a point where you're not freaked out about the symptoms. You're not doing the, oh my God, you're doing more of the, whatever. I'm not afraid of it, so bring it. I don't care. If I hurt today, I hurt today. If I don't today, that's okay too. And the only way to really get to that indifference is by having the fear lower considerably. And it absolutely has to go first. Because again, I don't see too many people who are petrified and terrified of their symptoms getting rid of them. Why? Because when you're that afraid of the symptoms and the pains, it's really hard to take your eyes off of it. Because if you're afraid of something, you're not going to take your eyes off of it. Right? Let's say there's a big bear in front of you. You're terrified. You're not going to take your eyes off of it. You're going to stare at it. You're going to watch it. You're going to monitor it. What's it going to do? It's the same way with the pain and the symptoms. So it's really important to start to figure out how to turn down the fear. And I'm trying to stay dry here. So how do you turn down the fear? And I've touched on this recently in a couple of videos. But a lot of times you got to turn down the fear through accurate information, right? Have the doctors ruled out anything life-threatening? Perfect. Now you don't have to worry. You're not dying. Then you rule in this thing called TMS, and there's several self-assessments. Go to the Pain For You Facebook group, and at the top there's a pinned post that says, unsure if you have TMS? Then you can absolutely figure it out through these assessments. So once you know what TMS is and you know that you've got it and you accept that assessment as being accurate, well, it's really easy, or easier I should say, to start to turn down our fear response to the symptoms, because again, the symptoms are not dangerous. They're massively uncomfortable. They royally suck sometimes, but they're not dangerous. They're not leaving lasting damage. They're not permanently injuring us or affecting our structure. So you can literally say, I have the knowledge, I have the assessment, I accept that, I have accurate information, I'm not dying, I've been checked out by the doctors, there's nothing significant going on there, and therefore I can choose, and it is a choice, to say, all right, I've evaluated the safety of this, and even though it's massively uncomfortable, it's not dangerous. And so you can choose not to be afraid, and you can work at that. It's going to take a little bit of practice to get there. But what you will find is that once you can really get the fear under control, and not even under control, to actually, if you can let go of the fear and stop staring at these symptoms over and over and over again, with desperation to get rid of the symptoms, that's when you find you'll be noticing them less. And when I talk about the rest of the process, fear also applies to emotions. If you are petrified of feeling your emotions, it's going to be really hard to feel them, right? So that's why I have that reframe your negative emotions or reframe your emotions video that I walk you through, basically deciding that being angry doesn't make me a crazy person or out of control or dangerous. Being sad doesn't mean I'm weak and broken and going to fall into a fit of depression. Feeling grief doesn't mean I'm going to get lost in it for decades. Feeling guilty and shame doesn't mean I'm an awful person. It just means that those are all of them are normal emotions. So losing the fear over the emotions is really important. Deciding emotions are safe is really important. But then also learning through the knowledge of what TMS is, the assessment, that the actual symptoms are safe despite how unpleasant they are. And when you can lower the fear, the attitude of indifference becomes much easier. And even more important, you watched the video recently called Fear is the Fuel. Well, if you can get the fear down, it'll be that much easier to shift your attention away from these symptoms. And it all kind of works together. So when I say the fear needs to go first, I mean literally. Lose the fear of the emotions. You're not crazy, you're not broken, you're not damaged, you're not going to fall into a pit of depression just by feeling your emotions. And just a caveat, I've had this conversation with a coaching client or two recently. They're like, so I don't get it. I mean, how do I feel these emotions and then not get stuck in them all day? Well, if you focus on feeling the emotions and not storytelling, and then when you're done doing the emotional discovery process and you've got that process done for the day, then you literally shift your attention away from the emotional discovery, stop ruminating on the stories as to why you're upset, angry, in a rage, sad, guilty, ashamed. If you can get away from the story for the rest of the day, the emotional discovery just becomes a time when you can say, all right, now's the time to feel whatever the hell I'm feeling. Feel it. And then you can move on with your day. So you're not going to get lost in the emotions all day unless you choose to stay in the story all day long and keep on recreating that emotion over and over again. So lose the fear of the emotions. That's the first step. And then through accurate knowledge of what TMS is and an assessment that says, yes, you've got that TMS thing, it's much, much easier to have the fear reduced significantly because you will intellectually know I am not in danger. And when you intellectually know that, you have the ability to reason and logic with yourself and reassure yourself, like, okay, I know I'm afraid, the pain's up today, but just remember, Dan, you're not broken. This is not physical, it's not structural. You've gone through the process. It is TMS, and it is not dangerous, even though it's uncomfortable. So the fear needs to go first. Fear of the emotions, fear of the physical, fear of the pain and symptoms themselves. And what you will notice is once the pain drops, you'll be able to shift away from it and not stare at it all day long. That's really important. And you'll be able to take that attitude of indifference, like, whatever. And like I said, once you lose the fear of the emotions, the emotional discovery is going to be that much easier. So it will also be that much easier to do the soothing that I always recommend. And soothing isn't just breathing to let your body relax and get out of that fight or flight and let your shoulders drop. But the soothing is also soothing your thinking. The anxious, fearful, catastrophic thinking, you want to soothe that. Well, how do you do that? Accurate knowledge. What is TMS? Do I have it? Yes, I do. I accept that. With that, it's much easier to reassure yourself and calm down your thinking. You see how all this stuff kind of works together across this whole framework? Knowledge, assessment, feel your emotions, soothe yourself, mindset of indifference, shift your focus away from the pain, right? And fear, reducing that through the knowledge, the intellectual knowledge, really helps you across the board. So I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. And don't expect the pain to disappear when you're still in freak out mode and you're still terrified of the symptoms. We really want to focus on what can I do to reassure myself that I'm actually okay, is just TMS, so that my fear will drop, and that makes the rest of the process so much easier. So let me know what you think about that. Does that help you out? Does it give you a focus? Because if we're looking at how can I reassure myself and calm myself down and really reduce the fear, now we've also taken our mind off of the pain. We're not desperate to fix the pain, eliminate it, fix the pain. We're saying, all right, how can I be less afraid? And a lot of times when it comes to this stuff, accurate knowledge, accurate assessment. So let me know what you think. Please comment below. Love you guys and gals. And the fear's got to go first. So we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks.